Good evening, everyone. My name is Irene Mushire, a BI developer. I'm excited to be here today to share with you my presentation on teen birth trends in the United States. You cannot talk about teen births without talking about pregnancies. So in my presentation, I'll be talking about both pregnancies and births. While it is encouraging that teenage pregnancies have reached extensively low levels since the government started tracking the data, it is essential to note that pregnancies and birth complications continue to be the #1 leading cause of death of teenage girls worldwide. What is even more concerning is the fact that United States has a higher mortality rate of these complications that are brought about by pregnancies and childbirth than any other high-resource country in the world. Interesting, right? Let me start by telling you a little story. 2 pink lines, one dark and another faint one. I am only 14 years old. I had sex for the first time without protection. I managed to keep it secret, but my parents recently found out. I tell you, they were not happy about it. I do not know if I'm pregnant, but I have an appointment coming up out soon to find out if I am or not. If I'm pregnant, I do not know what to do. I pray day and night that it is not true. Yes, I'm a straight A student, very responsible, but I know I cannot go to school, take care of a child, have a job, do all this, and give my baby a good life. I'm still a child myself. According to my mother, I don't even have a chance to decide whether I keep the baby or not, let alone name the child. I would feel completely overwhelmed if I'm pregnant. Every night I pray that this is not real. This is a story of Gianna, one of thousands of teenage girls in the United States today. In my analysis, I focused on teen births that took place between 2008 and 2018. As you can see here, this is my data dictionary or my data modeling, which shows my main table and the tables that I created, my measures table, my date table. Next, I have the KPIs. My first KPIs is total teen births. The next one is total, it's teen births by year, which is also broken down by year and state, and also by region. Then I have teen births year over year by percentage, which compares the decrease and increase from one year to another. My KPIs reveal trends that will assist us in different analyses and age groups and states, and help us in addressing the issue of teenage pregnancies and allocating the resources that have been earmarked for this. Here is my desktop. On my left, you see my slider, which helps the user to be able to select the period that they want to see. Then my first chart shows us teen births by year. It gives us the births over a period of time. Then my next chart shows us teen births by region, which also has the ability to drill down to states. Then we have the teen births by age groups. We have the 15 to 17-year-olds and the 18 to 19-year-olds, what is interesting about my waterfall chart is when we have a decrease, then the color of the bar turns green. Then when we have an increase, the color of the chart turns red, and our orange is the total. Next, we have our scatter chart. The color of the bubble represents the birds. The darker the bubble, the more the birds, and vice versa. Then lastly, we have the map, which helps us compare the different states and their performances. So, for example, if we look at, let's look at Montana, I think, yeah. If we look at Montana, we see that it recorded one of the highest drops, yeah. It recorded one of the highest declines, a total of 35%, as we can see here. The overall decrease in the teen birds was 35%. The main decrease happening between 2009 and 2010, where in 2009, the decline from 1 year to another was 4%, and then in 2010, it was 11%, making it a drop of 7%. In addition, we see that the greatest decrease happened among the age group 15 to 17-year-olds, which in 2009, it was 2%, and then in 2010, it went to 32%. So we see that the greatest decrease happened there. Now, if we look at another state like Montana, North Dakota, we see that, North Dakota, as I informed you earlier, we see that the bar has changed to red, meaning that there is an increase. Interestingly, Montana happened to be the only state that recorded the most increases, with only 3 years recording, with only 3 years that recorded no increase. That is 2013, which I can show you here. 2013 recorded no increase. 2016 and 2017. Another thing that is interesting, or that was an interesting observation, is that the most of the increase in Montana happened between the age of 15 to 16-year-olds. If I can just show you here and select 15, you can see that. Moving on to my next one. Insights, we have good insights, and what we have derived from the record, from our data, is that in Montana in 2018, compared to any other place, it recorded a very good decline in terms of teenage birds. We see that in 2017, the decline, we saw that it was 10%. And then in 2018, it went to 18% decline, which was a good one, 8% drop. Then a negative is we see in North Dakota, which recorded a number of increases. And as we have seen in the data, only 3 years compared to the rest of the time, only 3 years recorded a decrease, while the rest of the years recorded an increase. And mostly it happened between 2017 and 2018, where in 2017, the year-over-year decrease was 22%, then it went up to 1%. That is a 21% increase. Something to note here is that I would have loved to have data that had, or I would have preferred to have data that had more demographics, for instance, ratio or ethnic backgrounds for comparison. But at the time I was getting my data, we didn't have that. So based on the data that I have, here are my recommendations. One is contraceptives. So it is essential to guarantee that all teenagers have access to comprehensive sexual education and reproductive health services, with requisite services such as contraceptives. The next one is sex education. The government should allocate more resources towards extensive sexual education commencing at an early age, preferably preteens. Yeah, so targeting the preteens so that by the time they're getting to teenagehood, then they're not dealing with these issues. The third one is technology. Given the tech savviness of teenagers, it is important to use this for distribution of information and education initiatives, since most teenagers are able to use all these apps that are available in technology. And lastly, government initiatives encourage collaborative ventures actively involving churches, schools, community participation to be able to reach a broader base of people or audience. That way, they'll be able to mitigate and encourage the youth or teenagers not to engage in early sex. That's all I have today. Thank you for your attention.